So good evening friends, this side Rahul Magan here is a Group Chief Executive Officer, Treasury Consulting and also a venture capitalist. Standing today on 30th September, practically 2 AM in the morning, we're going to be shooting a pretty important video about ICE swap rate, which is formerly known as the ISDA fix. ISDA stands for International Swap and Derivative Association. While practically speaking there is a lot of action happening in the foreign exchange front, but unfortunately it is not being reported in the public space. Like first action which is happening, which was started as RFR, risk reference rate, right? Risk-free reference rate, but that has completely been changed into the interest rate reform. Basically, now this interest rate reform is taking another turn, which is that the world never thought about that that the day would come when the foreign exchange market would be start thinking over SFR. Today we have over six rates who are vying for a one piece of cake, which is known as the ARRC space. And the Bank for International Settlement confirmed that during their recent trial survey 2019 that the total IRS market worldwide is over 1.7 trillion per year, assuming we work 272 working days. Now the moral of the story is that in all between we have one kind of IRS, and unfortunately I am having a deep reservation with BIS, and soon we're going to write an email to BIS in that regards, which is that about the swaptions. Well, India is not a market for swaption. India is definitely not a market of swaps as well. No one in India talks about swap. Well, hardly. I challenge certified financial analyst and FRM, Faltu Risk Management, that if they ever give the categorization of the taxonomy like the dollarization swap, the reverse dollarization swap, the CMT swap, CMS swap, and OIS, overnight index swaps, and all these things, I give you in writing. But nonetheless, let's take the situation further. In all between, swaptions play a pretty important role, and the swaptions are fixed or cancelled or either way mark to market using a rate called ISDA fix. ISDA was formerly known as ISDA fix, basically the ICE swap rate was formerly known as the ISDA fix. So few time ago it was converted into the IC. IC stands for International Continental Exchange. An exchange which was in the news recently. They welcomed Bitcoin to launch their future. While if we talk NSE, National Stock Exchange, and Bombay Stock Exchange to welcome the Bitcoin, it would never happen. At least during my lifetime, it would never happen. While on the contrary, ICE, which is International Continental Exchange, in short we prefer ICE further now in the video. ICE rate is used to do MTM of the swaption. It could be cash settled swaptions, and it could be for multiple different kind of IRS product. Well, I don't know how many people have a thorough knowledge about the IRS interest rate swap, but a short tip I wanted to give you, which is that if you spend your entire lifetime on foreign exchange, I'm not saying it's a waste, but IRS is several times than the FX market. Several times than the FX market. So in IRS, those who pay fix, he is known as the long side of the swap, while who will receive fix, or basically who will pay floating, he will known as the short side of the swap. So you check your CFA people, which is Chartered Financial Analyst, and FRM, Faltu Risk Management, that without telling the secret, that who is long side of the swap. And the one line answer is those who pay the fix is long side, while the another person is the short side of the swap. That's for sure. Whether it's any form of swap, it doesn't make a difference. Sitting today, the ICE is quoting as a mid swap. Mid swap means you have a bid, you have a ask, and the mid is computed. While mid swap, ICE, I'll give you one more general knowledge and a tip, that ICE is the only fixing rate. ICE is the only fixing rate which is quoted as a mid swap. Apart from ICE, TONA, SOFR, CORA, CODR, HIBOR, JIBOR, MIBOR, MIFOR, You mention any name, they not quoted on a mid basis. So ICE swap rate is the only fixing index we have in the globe, those who quoting on the mid basis. Now all the intelligent people know that to compute on the mid basis you need the bid, you need the ask, and you simply do bid plus ask, you divided this by 2, the end result act as a mid. Simple, it's a pretty simple exercise. It is quoted in 3 currency, which is USD, GBP and Euro, while the periodicity it is quoted 1 to 30 years. Please be note that swaptions are long-term positions. Sometimes it is go beyond 30 years also. So after 30 years we going to be prorated that, and here I have a deep reservation. I have a deep reservations in that regard, because the prorating of the basically the swaption curve or the IC swap rate is something I have a deep reservation about, to be honest. But anyways, we have a committee which is known as ICE Swap Oversight Committee. ICE Swap Rate Oversight Committee, whose job is to cover VWB, volume weighted bid, VWO, volume weighted offer, VWAMP, volume weighted mid, and last but not the least, SMS, standardized market size. Then the biggest problem which I am going to be discussing about ICE is about IBA, which is Intercontinental Exchange Benchmark Administrator. Intercontinental Exchange Benchmark Administrator, shortly known as IBA. While you compute the mid, I would like to discuss one more issue in that regard. While you compute the mid, you took the quotes from the respective banks, those who will give the quote at a respective time. So you took whatever euro time, you take that quote. Now this quote in this August faced an issue, September as well. The issue is that the US dollar rate actually is quoted in 3, I told you, USD, Euro and GBP. The US dollar rate not came, and USD ICE swap rate was not published, which led to the issue of the pricing at the exotic desk of the bank, because swaptions are always handled by the exotic desk, and remember that swaptions are the high-end products. The swaptions are always handled by the exotic bank. If the USD rate is not coming, then it's going to have an issue in terms of pricing. So simply, LIBOR is phasing out in 2021. What would if tomorrow LIBOR will not come? There are multiple ARRC curves, there are multiple POS, COS, principal only swap, coupon only swap, CMT, CMS, and so many kind of amortization, day trade, Quanto, they are dependent upon LIBOR. If today LIBOR, tomorrow LIBOR will not come, it would be mess off. It would seriously be mess off in the system. That's it. But there is another issue. The issue is that they are the IBA, Intercontinental Exchange Benchmark Administrator, is creating a synthetic book to reach up to the mid price. Now it's now, according to me, this synthetic book is having a severe implication as far as the future is concerned, for multiple reasons. I don't know how many people will understand this video very well, because this is little technical. Number one, creation of synthetic book requires assuming the trades would happen. You don't have the dealt rate, rather you have the quoted rate. Maybe you do not have the quoted rate as well. You are assuming prorated. Point number two, the volume which you are assuming to create the synthetic book is actually not the dealt volume, and it might not be the quoted volume as well. Point number three, the volume weighted average you would try and compute, and volume weighted bid, volume weighted ask, and volume weighted mid, which you are computing, is definitely not a true figure. And fourth and last, the computation methodology of the outlier identification is pretty simple, like we have in case of LIBOR. So you get the curve, the pricing from various bank in 3 currencies, which is USD, Euro and GBP. You list them in ascending and descending whatever way, and you cut down the fourth quartile and the quartile one. So you do ascending or descending, it doesn't make a difference. The first quartile and the fourth quartile has to go. And when the first and fourth quartile went down, when the first and the fourth quartile actually went down, you end up as an average. But here is the problem, since you are taking the mid, you have the bid of that, you have the ask of that, and you are computing the mid of that. Now the problem here is that the biggest issue in the LIBOR is the quoted rates. It is actually not the dealt rates. So somebody quoting higher side, he is in the fourth quartile. Somebody quoting cheap, he in the quartile 1. Somebody, few banks joined hands and decided to quote closer by 1 bips here and there. They are in the quartile 2 and quartile 3. But the biggest benefit was in the case of LIBOR that there is no synthetic books was created either by the British Banker Association or by the ICE as well. So there was no synthetic book which was created. But in this issue, you are not only following the mistake committed by the LIBOR, which is you are taking the quartile 1 and the quartile 4, basically removing quartile 1, quartile 4 and keeping quartile 2 and 3, you are creating a synthetic book which is not required. Henceforth, the probability of having rigged mark to market on a swaption is pretty high in an interbank market. This is our simple logic. So let's take an example. I'm just taking a very simple example. If JP Morgan Chase is dealing with DBS on a swaption, while JP Morgan having a counterparty which is ExxonMobil is taking a swaption, say long swaption, say long receivers, long pair swaption with JP Morgan, and while JP Morgan taking a counter position with DBS, and both join the hands, and at the time of the ICI fixing they will give the rate, they will give such rate that it will synthetically end up their profit, and JP Morgan will ask the ExxonMobil to cut the position which will end up as a profit, and JP Morgan will cut the position with DBS which will end up as a profit. We cannot ignore the possibility of that in the ICE swap rates. We should not forget that from electricity derivative till fixed income instrument and till IRS curves. From electricity till fixed income till IRS curve, the world has saw numerous rigging scandals. So the way ICE swap rate is actually being published is not the rightest approach, and the exotic desk whereby the valuation is predominantly and situation will get worse actually. The situation is worse because the swaptions hedge counting cannot be performed at L1, which is mark to market. At L2, which is mark to market, it has to be L3, which is mark to model. Now there is a scene. If it is a mark to model, then the scene arises that a small rigging can create thousands and thousands of dollars here and there, but I am damn sure this will come in the public domain probably 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and most importantly, what we need to talk about while talking about so many RFRs, which is TONA, which is Canadian, which is ONIA, which is Hong Kong, and now it is SOFR. Now we have ESTR, which is Europe, which is of ECB, which will start computing from October 2019 and will surely bring the competition methodology before you. But we need to repeat the mistake. And my last line in that regards, are we putting the old wine in the new bottle? Whereby we have not changed anything, rather we have just changed the computation methodology. And this might have serious issues at a future point of time. Because we need to remember one thing, and we're going to have this video soon, that ISTA already agreed on the 2 consultation paper, whereby one of the consultation paper is by the Brettel Group. And in this consultation paper, they talked it about the fallback methodology. Then once the LIBOR transition would happen, how the fallback would be. Although I have not read the Brettel recommendation in detail because it's a pretty long exercise, but if this competition mistake not resolved in a rightest way, and the Brettel, for a minute, assume that the Brettel group recommendation accepted by ISTA for the fallback purposes, then it's a serious mess which we are inviting. I don't know how many people understood this is not, because this is a very high-end video. Because the Chartered Financial Analyst and Faltu Risk Management and GARP and Indian Institute of Chartered Accountant, all none, and CPA and all these institutions even do not know how the ICE swap curves look like and how exactly it worked it out. But there are issues. There are issues. And these issues has to be resolved. Else, wait for the mess to happen. Just wait for the mess to happen. With this, we thank you very much. And as we already told you that we never preach, we never teach, we always preach as well. Our project Ganesh, which is an interest rate swap platform, is under designing. This is going to take at least 1 year from now to design, and once designed, you would be able to have any swap which you can value on our platform on a real-time basis. And this would be a tremendous success for treasury consulting in the interbank market, which only the big boys can offer, Goldman and all and all. With this, we thank you very much, and you know my mobile number, which is +91 and Indian code 9899242978. You know our fixed income platform, www.fixedincome.global. Have a great time.